Hey y'all, welcome back to another Nerdly video. I've got some exciting stuff today. I've spent a lot of time talking about content mods while also shitting on content mods, specifically the item mods. But that's because, you know what, it's true. I've tried a lot of the item mods out there, and literally all of them are bad. So today I'm bringing you 7 items imagined by my good friend, DruidsUnion. He's a very thoughtful and well-spoken gamer that has a deep understanding of this game. Please check him out. He streams regularly. I'll link his stuff down below. The community is goofy. There's a lot of joke items, and I get that. I mean, who doesn't love a freshly baked pie? Apple, blueberry. It's absolutely wonderful. Cream pies are also always such a spectacular option. At the end of the day, though, it's going to come down to personal preference for item mods. But in general, I really like item ideas that bolster existing items by making them better, more viable, or creating some new synergy. So let's jump in. But also, please don't slaughter me too much about these item pictures, okay? I'm not all that creative. Most of these I just stole from the internet. The first one here is Gold Magnet. It's a common item. Increase the range that gold nuggets and healing orbs and other pickups like bandolier are picked up from by 10 meters, plus 10 meters per stack. Of the items that I will cover today, this is honestly one of my favorites. It's so simple, and it just makes other pretty bad items just better. I actually really like Monster Tooth and Bandolier as items. The problems I have with these items is that you actually have to go actively seek out these drops, and that's why most of the time I just scrap these items. I'm sure that's true for many of you as well. There's just too much going on for me to pay attention to what's dropping and make an effort to go get these drops. With Gold Magnet, there's now a way to increase the range at which you auto-pick these items up, meaning you actually might keep Monster Tooth or Bandolier now. What's really interesting here is I bet with a few bandoliers and a few gold magnets, you can become really overpowered very quickly. I mean, just 2 bandoliers and you have a 28% chance on kill to be able to reset skill cooldown. Plus then, if you had Forgive Me Please, it can get absolutely crazy. Really incredible idea here. Sounds so simple, but has a really impact to existing items. The next one here is Cleanser Pylon. This is an uncommon. Standing still for 4 seconds activates a pylon that cleanses all status effects on everything nearby in a 3 meter radius, plus 5 meters per stack while you stand still. This one feels kind of trolly. If you've played literally any amount of Risk of Rain, you know that standing still for even a second can mean death instantly. So Cleanser Pylon could very easily just get you killed, but from the way that I read it, this could also mean you have a potential to get out of some of those otherwise certain death situation. The first thing I thought of here was Collapse, but Collapse gets applied after 3 seconds. I didn't create these item ideas, so I wonder if not being able to remove Collapse with this item was intentional or not. It's also interesting that this item would cleanse all status effects on everything. This implies enemies as well. I actually think this is the most interesting part of this item. I personally spend so much time just trying to stack gas and kill things, and this would actually negate that just a little bit. I think in reality, you wouldn't really proc this item all that much just because the way the game is played, you're mostly just constantly moving around. But it is very strong if used at the right time. It gives you a way to survive some of those crazy status effects you start getting in later runs. You've just got to remember you have Cleanser Pylon and also use it at the correct time. It seems like it was made for Engineer because, you know, the turrets stand still. And we all know that Engineer is one of those characters that all the weird and unique items that other characters might not utilize are actually great for Engineer. The next one here is Monacle. This is a legendary item. Gain 5% damage plus 5% per stack for every 100 gold you have, up to 100% extra damage, 100% per stack. So you can probably already see that Monacle, as it's written, is pretty busted. Obviously, as the stages progress, it becomes easier and easier to gather gold. So you'd be able to get 100 gold on stage 8, for example, in like a few seconds. So surely it's not intended to just have double damage basically all the time after a certain stage. If we look at it in a way that scales with the scaling of the gold received, this is a really cool item. If this is the case, you might want to stay a little bit longer on a stage to get some money before the boss fight. But as you know, the more time you spend on the stage, the harder the enemies become. I'm pretty sure Druid intended this to scale with gold and kind of the stages like I mentioned. And so Druid, if you're watching this, can you confirm or deny that? The next one here is pretty fun. This is Scav Bag. Scavenger boss item. Killing any boss enemy has a 10% chance to drop a common or their yellow item. 90% common, 10% boss. Extra stacks improve the chance for a boss item. Scavengers are so goofy. They're these like weirdly cute, massive enemies that just basically don't move, but as time goes on, they collect items. Have you ever played that playable scavenger mod? Dude, it's so much fun. It's one of those mods I feel like everyone should play at least once as soon as they start modding Risk of Rain 2. There is really nothing more terrifying than getting like 50 soda cans and just flying around the map as a scavenger. Anyways, this item is a very unique item that only scavengers can drop. In the theme of how the scavenger enemy works, with this items, you're really just getting another item drop. 90% for common and 10% for their boss item. Really cool item, really balanced, not overpowered, anything like that. One of the things is that the scavengers are such a cool enemy in this game. I absolutely feel like they need their own drops, and this kind of satisfies that itch. The next two I'm going to talk about here are void items. We had to get some void items in there, okay? This is the void item Thorns, common. +8 base damage, +2 base damage per stack. Corrupts all armor-piercing rounds. Again, I wanted to get some void items here, but there's obviously so many opportunities for so many great void items. We all know the meme is Bison Steak, okay? There's got to be a dozen void steak item mods out there. I think increasing base damage here is such an interesting idea. There's so many amazing synergies you can get with these, right? Like Collapse is 400% base damage. Ignite is 10% of base damage per tick. Tri-tip dagger applies bleed, which is 20% base damage per tick. And the list just goes on, you know, hemorrhaging, poison, blight, stuff like that. So obviously increasing base damage creates some really incredible synergies for some crazy damage output, DOT damage over time, with some of the strongest status debuffs in this game. I mean, I've won runs that are just centered around getting bleed. So anything that makes that even better is an incredible pickup. I think this is a great item. The next void item here is Rotting Steel. This is a void uncommon. All non-soup printers are free to use, but have a high chance to set your health to 1 and lock you out instead of printing. 90% chance for failure, -5% chance per stat. Corrupts all regen scrap. We all just love gambling, don't we? When there's nothing real to lose, am I right? Okay. So degenerate gamblers will absolutely love this. I mean, this is honestly such a well thought out item. It's something you obviously use at the end of the stage when everything is dead. You wouldn't be crazy enough to risk being put to 1 HP while fighting all this nonsense that's going around you, right? Right? You wouldn't. You wouldn't do that, right? Please say yes. The downside is losing regen scrap, which is like one of the best green items in the game. So it's a really, really tough choice. Druid has really played this item absolutely perfect here. It's got crazy upside potential, but also you lose regen scrap, which is a really big downside. I love this item. It's such a difficult choice, and I feel like my choice would change just like honestly depending how I'm feeling. So the last one here I wanted to get is a proper equipment on the list. This is Industrial Mag Beam. Shoot a beam that acts as a tether you can swing on, more or less a reskinned loader grapple with longer range in the equipment slot. 15-second cooldown. I am all about mobility in this game. This one's pretty simple. As it's stated, it basically works like loader's grapple. I agree with both the principle of this item and also the equipment itself. Some of the character skills or weapons are so good, I think they actually should be available to other characters. Captain's Microbots would be another good example. But with Industrial Mag Beam, I think you get a big boost to mobility, which is heavily needed on a lot of the characters. A lot of times, I don't want to play a character just because their starting speed is so slow. So there's your 7. If anyone out there can create mods, please feel free to bring these to life. Druid has more of these wonderful ideas. If you want me to cover them, just let me know. Also, let me know, please, which one of these items I've described you enjoy the most. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.